Hi, I'm Paul from Gktuition, and in this video I want to talk to you about area and then distance, speed and time. Now the question that I've chosen to go through here is 2019 paper 1 question 5. In the first part of this question we're given a diagram and we're told that the diagram represents the area of a garden that is covered in lawn. We're asked to use the trapezoidal rule to estimate the area of the garden in meters squared. Now the trapezoidal rule can be found on page 12 in your maths tables, and the trapezoidal rule is given as h/2 times y1 plus yn plus 2 times y2, y3, the whole way up to yn minus 1. Now it's really important that you look at the diagram in your maths tables because it explains what each one of these is. Now we'll come back to that in a moment, but let's first of all talk about the scale. We're told that the distance from here to here is 1 centimeter and that every box along our diagram is 0.5 centimeters. That's the length they've given me. But we're told that this is to scale, that in fact 1 centimeter across in the diagram is equivalent to 3 meters in the garden. So 1 centimeter across represents 3 meters. So in fact you should view the length from here to here, the length of one of the boxes from the left hand side to the right is 3 meters. And obviously then if the distance between each box, the height of each one is 0.5 centimeters, which is half of that width, which means that it actually represents 1.5 meters. So you need to view these as the distances. You need to ignore the 1 centimeter and the 0.5. In fact, the width of one of these boxes represents 3 meters in the garden, and the height of one of these boxes represents 1.5 meters in the garden, and they're the values we need to use. Now, Harry has divided his garden into 8 different sections, and within those sections we can use the trapezoidal rule in order to estimate the area. If you notice in your maths tables, they've labelled H is the width between each section. Or in other words, in the width between each section in my diagram is 3 meters. So when I'm trying to find the area, the width, it'll be h/2, and h represents the width, not the height. That often confuses people. So let's say the area in this case, h/2, is actually 3/2, because the width of each of Harry's sections is 3 meters wide. Okay, so I've made a rough attempt now to draw the diagram. We've already identified that the height, the h here, or the width of each space is 3 meters. And we've identified that the height of each box represents 1.5 meters. We can use this information now to figure out everything we need to sub in. I'm going to sub in h equals 3 into my formula. Now I need to work out what all the y's are. If you look at page 12 in your maths tables, the y is represented as the heights. The heights of each section is y. In other words, there to there will be a y, here to here will give me one of them, here to here, and so on. You need to recognize that because this ends in a 0, the first height, y1, will be 0. The last height, yn, is also 0. So when I sub into my formula, y1 will be 0, yn will be 0. And what I need to do, this is 2 times, and the reason there's a ... here is because you type in all the other heights into this bracket. So I need to figure out what all the other heights are. I want you to just realize that this is y1, that means the next one, this is y2, this height, y3 will be the distance from there to there, y4 is from here to here, y5 is this one, then y6, then y7, and y8. So I'm going to plug in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 into this bracket. But I need to figure out how many meters each one represents. So the first thing you need to do is you need to count up the number of boxes. If you count the number of boxes in the line here, you get 10 boxes. If you count the number of boxes in the next one, you get 12. The number of boxes in the next one is 10, then 8, then 10, then 12, and then 10. So they're the number of boxes in each case. And at the start of the question, we realized based on the scale that the height of each box is 1.5 meters. So for example, if you want to work out what y2 is 10 boxes multiplied by 1.5. Each one of those boxes represents 1.5 meters, so y2 will be 10 by 1.5, which gives me 15 meters. Y3 will be 12 by 1.5, which gives me 18 meters. Y4 is 10 by 1.5, which is 15 meters. Y5 is 8 by 1.5, which is 12 meters. Y6 is 10 by 1.5, that gives me 15 meters. Y7 is 12 by 1.5, which is 18 meters. And Y8 is 10 by 1.5, which is 15 meters. So now we've figured out all of the values we need to sub into our trapezoidal rule. H represents the width of each one. The width of each one in the diagram we've been given is 1 centimeter. And I've been told that 1 centimeter is equivalent to 3 meters in this garden. So my H over 2 will be 3 over 2. Y1 is the first height, which is 0. Yn is the last height, which is also 0. And then it's plus 2 times all of the other heights, which I've worked out is 15, 18, 15, 12, 15, 18, 15. So I add them all together and I put them in there. So let's just plug in all our values now and see what the area of the garden is, the area of the lawn. Okay, so as you can see, we've worked out all our values. Instead of H, we can put in a 3. Y1 is 0, Yn is 0. And then the heights in the middle are 15, 18, 15, 12, 15, 18, and 15. So when you plug all of that into your calculator, a rough estimate for the area of this shape is 325 meters squared. That's your final answer. Okay, in the next part of this question, we're told that Nuala can walk at 1.6 meters per second. And we're asked to convert this to kilometers per hour. So basically you just do this step by step. If she walks 1.6 meters per second, in order to figure out how far she would go in a minute, I need to multiply by 60. So 1.6 by 60 gives me 96 meters per minute. And obviously there's also 60 minutes in an hour. So if she goes 96 meters in a minute, in order to figure out how far she'll go in an hour, I multiply by 60 again. That means she would go 5,760 meters in an hour. Now we need to convert our meters into kilometers. Remember, kilometers, kilo stands for 1,000. So there's 1,000 meters in a kilometer, which means to convert from meters to kilometers, you need to divide by 1,000. And if I divide 5,760 by 1,000, I get 5.76. So Nuala's speed is 5.76 kilometers per hour. And that's your final answer for this bit. So I hope all of this video makes sense. If there's anything you're unsure of there, or you want me to clarify something, just let me know in class or send me an email and I'll explain it differently.